We'll take live questions anytime you want to come up. Just come up to the mic. Brandon will hand you the mic, and we'll get you in. We want to keep this loose and fun. Feel free to come up at any point of the show. We'll also do Twitter questions later. Is this team a better team? Is there a benefit to having Mikko on the fourth line, or would that just be kind of the last of his of the goodwill left in his reservoir?
I mean, is there benefit to having him on the fourth line? I don't think so. I mean, it obviously makes you deeper, but look, they're still going to, even if he started on the fourth line, there are going to be times where Bruce is going to move him up. I mean, when they need a big draw late in a game on a power play, I could probably guarantee that Mikko is taking it over Eriksson Ek or Donato. That's just the way it is, and that's the way it should be. I mean, the guy's one of the best face-off players in the league in the last 15 years. So there are going to be times where they're going to need him. On the number one penalty kill now that Eric Fair is gone, it's going to be Mikko and Marcus Foligno. So there are going to be little things that Bruce is going to do. The thing that I'm interested in is the second power play, because at this point in his career, is Mikko better on the second power play than some of the younger guys that the team has, whether it's Cunnin or Greenway or Fiala or Donato or whatever the Wild decide in those situations? Probably not. So I think out of respect, Bruce will probably start Mikko on the power play, but there might be times where he's going to take Mikko completely off the power play. Or, as I wrote the other day, what I would do is maybe if you're starting the second unit in an offensive zone draw, you throw Mikko out there. But if all of a sudden you're starting the number one unit and you're changing on the fly, then maybe that's the occasion where you say, Mikko, you're not playing on this power play. But for the draw perspective, you should always use Mikko as your number one option on this team.
Bert, how you doing?
I'm good. So
thanks for coming out.
Thanks. I just wanted to say it was sweet of you guys to miss me last week.
Yeah, we missed. You could tell how much we missed.
Yeah, that meant a lot.
Yes,
I was just really dismayed.
Yeah, I could hear your voice cracking. So just let it go. So and then Jim, I got a bone to pick with you. 16-ounce curls, really? Have you seen the beer at my table? 16 ounce.
Oh, I give you credit. What's that? That's like more like 20, 24?
24, yeah.
Wow. Well, of course, it was the working out that enabled you to build up to this.
That's true. I had to work off all the liquor from Europe. So
but we're proud of you. That's the bottom line here. Thanks. We're proud of you.
So here, my question is: now that Spurgeon's out of the way, have Guerin and Curvers have they come up with some kind of talked about some kind of plan with the goalie situation? Because they'll probably have to figure something out by next year with Dubnyk having 1 year left.
Well, he has 2 years left.
Well, after next year, though.
Yeah. I mean, I asked Guerin during my sit-down a couple of weeks ago, but that was he was literally a day on the job, and he obviously said that it's something that he's going to have to come up with a succession plan, but it might be Dubnyk. I mean, maybe Dubnyk has a great year and doesn't give them any sense of concern, but a lot will be up to. This is not something they got to figure out right away. I mean, a lot will be up tonight in Winnipeg. Both Kokkonen and Matt Robson are going to play. Capo is going to get 2 periods. Matt's going to get 1. Then they're going to go to Iowa and they're going to play in front of a young team, behind a young team, and they're going to have to figure out right now if those two potentially are if either of them is the so-called I hate the term, but goalies of the future. And if all of a sudden Guerin and Curvers and Bombardier and Tim Army and those people think that they're not somebody that in the next 2 years is somebody that can step into an NHL role, whether it be a backup or starter, you're going to have to start looking at ways to acquire a goalie via trade or free agency. But right now, they have plenty of time to figure that out, and a lot will be up to the way that guys like Kokkonen look, the way that Hunter Jones looks in juniors this year, Barabo, and obviously Matt Robson.
Because I'm looking at what the Capitals did. I mean, with Holtby being a free agent after this year and probably not coming back because they're over the cap now. Yeah. I mean, they have a kid named Samsonov in Hershey that they played last year, so they're going to play him this year in some backup roles to see how he does and get him used to it.
No, and we even saw Colorado got in front of it with Varlamov going out and adding, Grubauer, but there's no doubt that the Wild, because Stalock isn't your future number one here by any stretch, that they're going to have to figure this out in the next couple of years. There's no doubt.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Bert. Appreciate you being here. Thanks a lot. Hey, by the way, Brian from Tin Shed is giving away Wild tickets. Come on up here. Just fill out the form. Drop it in the as Bert just did. Drop it in the fishbowl, and we'll let you know when we draw winners. I think it'll be pretty soon here. By the way, we're planning on our next live show being October 1st. That should be a Tuesday night. Let me double check that. October 1st here at 7 o'clock. So luckily, with the way the Twins are playing, I won't be leaving to go cover that playoff series until later in the week. So we're planning on October 1st, 7 o'clock here. And come on out and join us. We do appreciate everybody who comes out. Ken, fire away.
Well, so first, Jets scored 2 goals in the first 100 seconds today.
Oh, great.
So maybe that...
So Kokkonen is not the goalie.
That doesn't sound good for Kokkonen. So a few questions. One, the fact that Rask flunked Bruce's skating test, does that indicate a lack of fitness, or is he just slow as we thought last year?
Yeah.
That's question one. Number two, I mean, obviously it's early in the camp, but are there some players that really stood out to you so far, and who's disappointed you? And lastly, I know you've gotten this question 1,000 times, what are the chances that Guerin decides to keep Bruce after this year?
Okay, you might have to remind me on some of these. And by the way, on this, I do find it funny that the goals in Winnipeg are Kopp and Blake Wheeler, so the veterans don't always struggle to come out of the gate in preseason games. Just on the Minnesota Wild, they do. Yesterday was, by the way,
negative.
I think that I took a professional approach today because in my gamer I had a line that said that they were in midseason form. They outchanced an inferior opponent 3-1 and then still lost in overtime. But I thought that was too cynical for preseason game one, so I cut it out.
Oh
yeah.
man!
So I thought that was a very mature. I made a step in my.
He's
maturity.
growing up right before our eyes.
And Ken, as I predicted, I forgot every one of your questions. So what were they? First one was Rask.
Thank you.
I will just correct one thing that we kind of always keep on saying they failed the skating test. The way it works is that it's sort of like nobody fails. What it is that it used to be Bruce when he first started this, and I got it I think from Hockey Canada. You do the skating. You have to do it. There's 38 seconds, like 39, 40, and there were 5 legs. Well, what he did is he changed it to years ago, or 5 or 6 years ago, to essentially if you make your times 3 times, you don't have to do the 4th. And if you fail that, say, so if you're too far over your 3rd leg and you have to do the 4th, if you skate that in the length of that leg, then you don't have to do the 5th. But if you miss that, then you have to do the 5th. And then obviously if you miss the 5th, you're not doing the 6th. So it's hard to say that anybody fails. It's sort of like instead you're getting rewarded for getting in the time the first 3 times to not have to do leg 4 and 5. And Rask and Brown were not the only two. Donato missed it by honestly missed leg 3 by like 0.0001. It was crazy. Then there were guys like Matt Register, Ryan Hartman, who's a great skater. They missed it. Now Rask, to me, looks like he's in good shape. Like when I look at him, he looks fit as a fiddle. When I look at Ryan Donato, he is in superb shape. Just for some reason, skating is not their forte in this type of thing. These tests, it's not about speed. I've seen the slowest guys pass this with flying colors. It's about endurance, and that was the thing that pissed off Bruce the most. Is that particularly it didn't bother him so much like a guy like Donato, but when Rask and Brown, who are 2 guys that are on the bubble to make the team, showed up and didn't come close, it really bothered him. But yet, you look at JT Brown and the guy's in perfect shape. So it's just, there are just certain things. JT surprised me because he's usually a great skater. So it was a weird one. But the Rask thing, I think even more so, is he hasn't been happy with his play overall. Like in the scrimmages, he doesn't look good. I mean, that Jerry Mayhew overtime winner the other day, honestly, it was like nothing changed with Rask from last year. He just got caught in cement, and Mayhew just flew by him, circled the net. Brown didn't pick him off, and he turns around and whips it for the overtime winner in the scrimmage. So, it's definitely disappointing, and those are the things that absolutely stick in Bruce's mind, sticks in Guerin's mind, a lot more than it would for another player. When you're a bubble player and you come and you're not playing well right from the beginning, or you show that maybe you didn't practice the test over the summer. I mean, all these guys knew it was coming. I tweeted a picture at Braemar last week or 2 weeks ago now. I mean, training camp goes flies by sometimes of guys like Parisi and Sealer and all these guys practicing the test. They all, it's like those guys didn't practice it. So I'll be interested to see how Fiala does if he gets here Friday or Saturday. So what was your other questions?
Well, one is, what do you think the chances are that he keeps Bruce after this year?
I mean, a lot will depend on this season. I mean, I can tell you just by watching, they're getting along. They're laughing every time I look up at them. They seem to have a much more cooperative relationship than when it was Fenton and Bruce. And so I think Bruce is in the know now and giving his opinion to things now. And so far so good, but obviously a lot will depend on this year. If they don't make the playoffs or don't come close to making the playoffs, I don't care if Bill Guerin's saying the right things by saying Bruce is my guy. All GMs have in the back of their mind a list of people that they want to be the coach, and usually that eventually happens. So.
By the way, as to midseason form, we sure showed it on the 3-on-3. But
yeah.
The last question was, so what players have impressed you so far early on in the camp, and what ones have disappointed you?
I mean, I know that it sounds like I'm like campaigning for Jerry Mayhew, but I genuinely, I a lot of times will, when there's minor leaguers that everybody's like, why don't they give him a shot? I kind of roll my eyes and I'm just like, look, trust me, it's not going to translate. I'm telling you, I think that you could put Jerry Mayhew in a top 6 role on this team and he'll get you 20 goals. Like, he is that good. And I just hope that they do the right thing here and just say, JT, you're gone, or even Victor, you're gone. To me, Jerry's proved everything that he can in Iowa. The problem is that he doesn't require waivers, and all these other guys do. And so right away, it's gonna probably hurt him. I mean, that's just the reality of situations in picking a team. Is sometimes your contract status determines, at least initially, who makes the team or not. But I'm telling you, Mayhew is a player. He's a guy that you could put on your fourth line. He's not going to hurt you because he is energetic. He skates awesome. But he's also the type of guy that you put him on that fourth line, especially with somebody like if Mikko was there or Joel Eriksson, he's going to get you goals easily. I mean, you could put him on the power play on the Wild, and I guarantee he's going to score. So I'm a Mayhew guy. And the other one that just to me looks awesome is Zuccarello in these scrimmages and practices. But we'll see. I mean, the one thing that's disconcerting is, again, last night he's setting up guys left and right, and they still can't score. So I don't like this fallacy that last year they didn't score because they didn't have this playmaker. I mean, Granlund was on the team 3/4 of the year. These guys do not finish. It's that simple. He set him up he should have had 3 or 4 assists last night, and they don't finish. And so, again, it's one preseason game, but that's got to change, man. And he's a heck of a player. We'll just see. I mean, we'll see what his contract looks like in 2, 3, 4 years, but right now it looks good. It's funny, I talked to Henrik Lundqvist about him today. By the way, just on a total aside, that's why I covered the NHL. Like, a future Hall of Famer on a game day calls me at 3 p.m. about Zuccarello. I mean, that's why you cover the NHL and not any other sport. Sorry, Jim. But I talked to Lundqvist today, and he's like, you will not believe how better he makes other players in practice because they have to keep up with him. Because it's a lot like Mikko. I mean, there are certain guys that don't go through the motions in practice, and Zuccarello, you could tell already, is one of them. Just works his butt off in practice. And this is a guy, I mean, he was discovered during the 2010 Olympics. I mean, he was, I cannot wait to write the story on him, probably for opening night. Because already the stuff I've gathered on the guy is fascinating. And I haven't even sat down with him yet. So it's just, that's the cool part of The Athletic is that, you could hit him early and just kind of, hey, he's here. But you have time to write, really substantive story and not feel pressured. All right, we got to get it in this day because this, the Vikings have a game here. The Twins are going to be in the playoffs. Like, from my perspective, I don't have to worry about the Twins being in the playoff on the day opening night is because that doesn't, on an online situation, it doesn't drop my story down. So I can't wait to write that story. Hopefully it's good. So.
Disappointments? I assume Rask was one, but any other?
Oh, disappointments? Let me just think real quick.
By the way, Brandon, do I get workman's comp if when he's talking and his hands start flying around, he